Hey everyone, this is Phoebe Wild from Cardboard Vault here at GenCon50 talking to Mike Selinker of Loan Shark Games, and we're here to talk about Apocrypha.
Yeah, this is a game where we just released it. It has gone pretty well. People seem to really like it, and it'd be fun to show off the game to the people who are watching.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the world of the game and what it's about.
It takes place on the day you are playing it. So you are these saints. You can see all the monsters in the world, but the problem is they can see you and they don't particularly like you. So you end up going around from chapter to chapter, mission to mission, just seeing all sorts of crazy things in the world. There's 99 missions over the course of the 3 boxes that we have. This is box 1. It's the world, and then later there'll be the flesh and the devil following that. The big sort of innovation in this is it can be played either as a game against the game, like the Pathfinder Adventure card game, which this is sort of the follow-up to, or you can play it as a full-on RPG with a game master, and you can switch back and forth between those 2 modes as much as you want.
That's really cool. So how many players is the game for?
It's up to 6 players, plus if you have a guide, the sort of game master, that's another player. So you can play with up to 7 people at the table.
And what will players be doing throughout the game? Can you tell us a little bit about how it works and how they'll progress through the story?
Absolutely. So everybody gets a saint. You have a character card here. So for example, this is Dr. Z's. He is a unlicensed necrosurgeon, and he wears a plague mask all day, and that doesn't freak out anybody as much as it probably should. He's got a deck of cards that if he burns through, it's really bad for him. He might get a death card, which you don't really want. And he's got some fragments. A fragment is a memory that you guys are superheroes, but you've forgotten everything about your superpowers. So we went to our favorite authors, people like Pat Rothfuss, Matt Forbeck, Kidge Johnson, Jerry Holkins, so forth, and said, write us these fragmented memories. And each of those has a giant piece of flavor text on it and then a small power at the bottom. So as you go up throughout your character's growth, you'll get all these superpowers you didn't know you were going to have. It sort of has a weird effect where a new player is just like, I'm this character and I do this thing and I do it really well and you can depend on me. But an experienced character is more like a sine wave. They've got all these powers and they do crazy things, and you kind of wish they would just get it under control, or maybe we could get some new players to play and then bring in some stable characters to the game. So it's kind of a weird, horror-ish, maybe alternate memory kind of game, and I think it's pretty fun to play.
Will the powers that you acquire during the game, is that determined based on the character you start with, or will it be different every time you play through the campaign?
You'll gain, when you win missions in this game, you gain the opportunity to add fragments, and you get to sort of draft them. So you'll like if you're playing a 4-person game, you'll get a number of fragments, and I'll take one. Maybe if I took the last turn, I'll take one and pass it on to you, and you'll take one, and maybe you'll replace one that's in your Halo already, or maybe you'll decide that you need to swap one out for one of the death cards that's in your Halo. Any number of things can happen, but your brain is really fluid in this game. You're just trying to get it to be the brain that you want it to be.
And you mentioned that it's a story over the 3 boxes.
Absolutely.
Without spoiling anything or what players are going to face, what can you expect? Where can they expect the story to take them?
So we're on the edge of the apocalypse. The apocalypse hasn't happened. I don't really like post-apocalyptic games all that much because the drama's already over, right? Here's where we're like, we can still fix this thing. It's not great, but it's not necessarily going to be as bad as it can be. So each of the chapters, there's 2 in this box, the Candlepoint chapter, which is set in Wisconsin, and then the Skinwalkers chapter, which is our werewolf and werebear street gangs in Chicago, are all in this box. Then the next box will meet 4 more chapters, 4 more sets of monsters, 4 more sets of characters, and then the next box will meet 4 more of those as well. So you'll get to see basically all kinds of different stories told. I've been spending my time writing, just these fictional one-shots, these one-shot stories. They've taken me all sorts of strange places. Just the other day, I was researching the ports of departure for soldiers in World War II and came across a place called Last Stop USA. And I said, that has to make it into my game, right? And so, just everything is new and modern. You've got thousands of references in this game that you'll just go, oh, I think this is this thing, and maybe it's this little rabbit hole over here. All the art has things going on in the background. The cards have images where if you look at one side, they're one image. If you look at the other side, they're another image. There's over 600 pieces of art in this game. It ends over 1,500 cards, 20 dice, 100 plus pages of story. It's going to be a big game.
And you mentioned it's just releasing now. It's available. Are all 3 of the boxes available?
Oh, God, no. I wish they were, but this one's just come out. The next one will come out later this year, and the next one will come out after that in 2018. We like taking our time to get things right, which is not everybody's favorite thing, but we want to make sure that we deliver to our fans the game that they really want to play.
Yeah. And what's your favorite character or your favorite moment or experience of playing this game?
Well, we've had some great characters that we've made. Like, for example, this is Deanna Jones. She's a 65-year-old grandmother that says, with the character that says, the sweater says, the world's luckiest grandma on it. And that's not a character you can play in any other game, right? And to have that character next to a 13-year-old rollerblader named Ruby Doomsday from is just fun. I wrote this story over the dividers of all things on the cards, right? So nobody thinks about the dividers that separate the cards. But I used that space. I was like, I'm going to write a multi-part story about a showdown with lycanthropes at a roller derby event in Chicago, and it's super fun to just write all this stuff. I everything I've gotten to do, I try to push right up to the edge of what's permissible in a horror game. And so my staff comes back at me and says, you can't do that. And I said, well, what if and I start negotiating with them about and they're like, okay, I can tolerate that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think it's the really best part though, is just being able to work with all my friends. I've got some really talented friends. We've got a promo card here called Contract Poison. It's our convention promo, and each person who worked on the game has a different power that you can unlock by getting their signature on it.
That's awesome.
And so just to be able to give my friends the ability to shine in the spotlight and make something crazy and weird that's just theirs. We're not trying to make somebody else's intellectual property, just making something fun that we want to make. It's been really fun.
Well, thank you so much for showing us the game. Again, this is Apocrypha Box 1 The World from Lone Shark Games, and I've been talking to Mike Selinker, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.